What up, everybody? What up, everybody? Let me get to the spot. Let me get to the spot. Hey, everybody. What is going on? This is Plan Your Greatness, and I am your gracious host, Carlton Hamilton. And let's get started today. Today is Thoughtful Thursday. Yes, it is. And I've got a question for you. Do you believe you have enough options to be the best person you can be? We're going to discuss that here on Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan Your Greatness channel. I've been having dreams, jumping on a trampoline, flipping in the air. All right, we are back. We are back. We are back. We are here on Thoughtful Thursdays on the Plan Your Greatness channel, and we are continuing. We're almost to the end. We've got 2 more videos to go, this one and then next week, of the what I call the What Separates You series. Now, I started this series and it got interrupted by 1 week because I went down to Mississippi hanging out with my dad and my brothers to kind of get a better idea of how my dad grew up. It was such a powerful experience that I had to put that video in before we got back on track. So here we are. We are at number 2. Now, we went from number 5 and we're up to number 2. We started from the bottom. Now we're here. Now, okay, I'm just getting silly. All right, so we started at number 5. Okay, number 5 was you must take action. Okay, and as I said before, when you take action, life is gonna bust you right in the mouth, like Mike Tyson said. Everybody has a plan until they're hit in the mouth, and then what do you do from there? You must have a philosophy that's higher than your feelings. That keeps you moving forward. All right, number 4 is the plan. You must have some sort of plan that you've taken out of your head, put it on paper, something that you can see and really get into as far as activating to make things happen. All right, number 3 is goals. All right, you must have some goals. You must have something that's in your head that's kind of not necessarily a driving force, but you have to have something, a commitment to excellence, as I'll say. And then number 2, what we're going to talk about today, know that you have options. Know that you are absolutely in 100% control of those options. All right, so let's get started here. Now, one of the most powerful books that I read was written by a young guy. I'm not even sure if he's 30 yet, but if he is, he's barely in his 30s right now. And his name is Ryan Holiday. He wrote a book called The Obstacle is the Way. Now, from what I gathered from doing a little research on him, he began doing some research. I don't know if he was a philosophy major or if he was an English major in college, but he did some research and he came across this area of philosophy during the Greek era. And it's called Stoicism. And in that Stoicism, he came across some writings by Marcus Aurelius, one of the Roman emperors. And Marcus Aurelius had this very powerful statement right within the middle of some of his reading. And it goes like this. He said, the impediment to action advances the action. What stands in the way becomes the way. And so Ryan Holiday was so inspired by that. And at the same time, I believe he was interning for Robert Greene. And if you don't know who Robert Greene is, he's the author of the book, The 48 Laws of Power, another very powerful book, which kind of coaches and teaches people how to navigate themselves through kind of this very complicated at times corporate environment. All right. So he writes this book, The Obstacle of the Way. I get a hold of it. I read it and I see his kind of philosophy on life and thinking, very powerful. And I'm looking, I'm like, this guy's in his 20s and he's talking as if he's like in his 50s. So it was very powerful. But what it also did for me, it reminded me of a time where I did not believe I had the control over my situation. This was about an 7 or 8 year window when I got injured and I had to have 2 elbow surgeries on my arm within the same year. And so at that point, my life completely changed. I felt that I had lost control, and I fell into this depressed state. That depressed state took me down a road of homelessness. Then that homelessness road took me down committing a crime and being incarcerated here in the state of Arizona. Now, here I am locked up, and I'm starting to read, because I'm making, that's a whole nother story. I'll probably have to redo another video to just the whole process of my thought process of going through prison. But what happened is I was reading a lot of stuff. And by the time that I actually got out of prison, I got a hold of some literature in sociology. And I came across a term called trained incapacity. And what that means is whatever skills that I have, I don't see how they transition to other areas of life. And that is an absolute lie that you've figured out. Now, there are other areas, and more specifically comparable are people who come out of the military. They actually see themselves as, in most cases, the lower level of military. They see themselves as almost like hired assassins. And they don't see themselves kind of functioning in the space. So either they need to either go work back for the government, or they're going to be some loose cannon. And I believe there's some statistics out there that says how many people that are locked up, how many of them have some sort of military background. That number is probably ridiculously high. But again, that trained incapacity mentality turns you into a victim. Because when you're an athlete, and I say this more specifically as a Black athlete, you are walking in a dangerous area. Because I'll say this from my own experience. When I was a professional athlete, there were two mindsets that I had. I was invincible and I was entitled. Now think about that. In America, America's media machine sends out a message that a Black male is at the very bottom of the totem pole. And then they tell you that your options as far as how you can be successful are limited to these two areas, sports and entertainment. So if you're in either one of those and you adhere to that whole doctrine, once you get out of it, you're starting to look around like I did and go, where do I go now? And that's a lie that I adopted. But again, you see yourself as invincible and entitled. So now when things don't go your way, you see yourself as a victim, because now you don't have that entitled status of being a professional athlete. So what do? It was crushing, and it took everything within me while I was locked up in prison to re-educate myself, reinvent myself. And here we are now, 20 years later, and I go online and I look and see guys that I was locked up with, and I see them in, out, in, out, in, out. And they are an absolute reflection of the recidivism rates. I'm what Malcolm Gladwell called an outlier. That I'm somebody that actually, I am so far out there, because I believe the recidivism rate, they're reporting it somewhere around 80, but I would honestly say it's probably 7 or 8% higher, closer to 90. But again, here I am 20 years later, I'm out of it, because I understand the number 2 on this list is I had options and I began to take control. I looked at everything that was in front of me. I said, these impediments to action are advancing my action. What stands in my way is now going to become my way. No longer did I have the trained incapacity understanding of how the skills that I learned in baseball, I didn't feel that they were transferable. Now I see those skills that I had, and I use them now, were very much transferable. And that once you get in that space where you're operating, where you see skills that you have or skills that you can acquire can be very beneficial to yourself, you are absolutely 100% planning your greatness. All right. So make sure that you hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get the updates when I go live, or when just a video is going to be premiering. It'll usually give you an hour or half an hour notice. And I'll say this. I usually leave you with my saying at the end, but I want to give you this call to action. I want you, and I think I've said this before, I want you to be very intentional that when you say something negative about yourself, and I want you to do this for the next 30 days. If you say something negative about yourself, I want you to immediately replace it with something positive. Find something positive. Now, if you can't find anything positive, then what you do, you hit in the comments and you reach out to me, and then we'll correspond. And I guarantee I'll find something positive that you can work with. That's my promise to you. If you reach out to me on this particular video and just ask, hey, Carlton, and then I said, we're gonna correspond. I'm gonna ask you some questions, and then we're gonna go from there. But I'll leave you with this. Plan your greatness. You know why? There he is. The man's leaving us out. He's heading us home. Again, plan your greatness. You know why? Because no one else will. I'll see you guys all next Thursday.
A young boy once was all alone. No one knew